Chapter 8: Hiring a Designer or Architect. In the previous chapter, we talked about designing the right ADU layout. We discussed how important it is to think about function, efficiency, and how the space will actually be used. Once you have a general vision for your ADU, the next step is turning that vision into professional construction plans. And this is where designers and architects come in. Many homeowners underestimate how important this step is. The design phase doesn't just determine what the ADU will look like, it determines whether the project moves smoothly through permits, engineering, and construction. In this chapter, we'll talk about how to hire the right designer or architect and what role they play in the ADU process. Why professional plans are required. Before an ADU can be built, the local building department requires approved construction drawings. These drawings must show exactly how the structure will be built. Typically, these plans include architectural drawings, structural details, site plans, electrical layouts, plumbing layouts, energy compliance documents, HVAC layouts, and energy compliance documentation. These plans are submitted to the city during the permitting process so reviewers can verify that the project complies with building codes and zoning regulations. Because of this, professional design services are almost always required. Designer versus architect. Many homeowners wonder whether they need a designer or a licensed architect. In many ADU projects, either professional can create the plans needed for permitting. The difference usually comes down to project complexity. Architects typically handle custom home designs, complex site conditions, and high-end architectural work. Designers often focus on residential additions, remodels, and ADUs in small structures. Because ADUs are smaller buildings, many homeowners work successfully with experienced residential designers. However, if the project involves complicated structural conditions or unique design elements, an architect may be the better choice. What designers actually do. A good designer does much more than simply draw plans. They help translate your ideas into a buildable design. This process typically includes several steps. First, the designer reviews your property and local zoning rules. Next, they help refine the layout based on your goals and budget. Then they produce detailed construction drawings that contractors can use to build the project. These plans become the blueprint for the entire project. The design process. Most ADU design projects move through several phases. The first phase is concept design. During this stage, the designer creates preliminary layouts and floor plans based on your ideas and property conditions. This stage helps determine the size, layout, and basic configuration of the ADU. The next phase is design development. Here, the layout is refined and important decisions are made about windows, doors, kitchen layout, bathroom layout, and other design details. Finally, the designer produces construction documents. These are the technical drawings that will be submitted to the building department and used by contractors during construction. Site plans and property layout. One important part of ADU design is the site plan. A site plan shows how the ADU fits on the property. This drawing includes property boundaries, the location of the main house, driveways and walkways, setbacks and property lines, and the proposed ADU location. Cities use the site plan to confirm that the ADU complies with local zoning requirements. Because of this, accuracy is extremely important. Designing for permits. One of the most valuable things an experienced ADU designer brings to the project is knowledge of local permitting requirements. California ADU laws have simplified many aspects of the approval process, but every city still has its own rules and procedures. An experienced designer will understand things like the maximum ADU size, height restrictions, setback requirements, parking regulations, and utility requirements. Designing with these regulations in mind helps prevent delays during the permitting process. Design fees. Design costs can vary depending on the complexity of the project. For many ADU projects, design fees may range from a few $1,000s to significantly more for complex projects. Design services often represent a small percentage of the total construction cost. However, investing in good design can help prevent costly mistakes later. A clear, well-organized set of plans helps contractors build more efficiently and reduces confusion during construction. Questions to ask before hiring. Before hiring a designer or architect, it's helpful to ask a few questions. For example, how many ADU projects have you designed? Are you familiar with the local city approval process? What is included in your design services? Will you coordinate with structural engineers if needed? How long will the design process take? These questions help ensure the designer has the experience necessary to guide the project successfully, avoiding common design problems. One mistake homeowners make is starting construction planning before the design is fully completed. Rushing through the design phase can lead to problems later, such as incomplete plans, unclear construction details, unexpected engineering requirements, or permit delays. Taking the time to develop complete and accurate plans helps create a smoother construction process. Once the architectural design is completed, the next step is adding the technical engineering components that ensure the structure is safe and compliant with building codes. In the next chapter, we'll talk about engineering and the technical requirements that every ADU must meet before construction can begin. If you like additional ADU planning resources, please visit strategicadu.com.